Hello there, YouTube. It's your girl, P+7. Hold on, adjusting the volume. Otherwise known as the Purple Butterfly. On Twitter and YouTube, I'm known as P+7. People elsewhere on the internet, and my blog is located at purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. I posted a picture of a project I'm working on. I'm using this yarn. It's called Bernat Puff Ball Pink, and I'm making this scarf. This is actually the back. Look how that lines up, isn't it pretty? And this is the front. Well, hold on. Let's try to get the camera to show. In the front, you can see the knit, and the puff becomes the carryover for the pearl stitch. I actually like the back better. And as soon as I posted the picture, I immediately got 6 emails asking, how is it to work with? That's complicated. Doesn't the yarn drive you best when you take it out the package, so forth and so on. And they wanted to know this information so they could try to make the project themselves, because this yarn by Bernat is supporting Susan G. Komen for the cure. Every ball that's sold, they're donating a certain amount of the proceeds. And there's a couple of pointers I want to go over before I show you how to actually work with this yarn. And it's so easy, you will not believe it. It just seems complicated because of this format, which any knitter or crocheter will tell you, this is not something you see every day. And if you're knitting, of course, you're looping, that can get in the way. First thing you want to do, now see this little part right here, that's where I try to pull the skin from out of the center the way you do with a standard ball of yarn. Don't do that. Take the label off, find the outside, get yourself a bow so it can unravel freely and roll around the bowl instead of across your floor. But if you try to pull it out from the inside, instead of a smooth transition like most yarns, these bumps and lumps causes the outside to cascade in, and you're going to end up with knots. We don't like knots. Now, to cast on, your standard continental cast on does not work because of the same reason, the little bumps from the little pink puffs. What I did was I used a standard, let me see if I can show it to you. I used a standard backwards loop cast on, which made the first row look like it's going vertical, as you can tell. And all the rest of the rows, of course, are going horizontal. The side rows are looking like a little border. Okay, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my work so that way you can see what I'm doing and explain to you what to do. I'm currently working a stockinette stitch. I have seen patterns with this yarn saying use a garter stitch. Didn't like the way that looked. It just looked kind of funky to me. But when you wind the yarn, you're going to use your finger to hold that puff out your way. Okay? Then when you go to the next stitch, because you're going to be knitting the cord, not the puff, hold it out your way if necessary. Work loosely. I'm using a size 9 needle, by the way, which is the size recommended. If you are a tight knitter, you might want to go up to a size 10. If you're a loose knitter, you might want to go to an 8. Each one of these stitches is equal to an inch because apparently the puff is an inch. But you see what I'm doing there? I'm only knitting the cord. So we're going to bring it in. That puff is trying to get into the knit. We don't want that there. We're going to hold it out the way and only knit the cord. See how that works? Now, the puff then becomes the carryover for your pearl stitch, and you go and knit just the cord. You're going to take breaks with this rather often because holding that out the way is a little bit awkward, and sometimes your hands might decide they want to rebel. Okay, what happens when you're doing this is the puffs end up laying down on the back as the purl stitch carryover. And I'm going to show you how that looks in a second. But when you put the roll on the needle, obviously it bunches up. No worries, mate. Just pull it down. I pull it about every 4 or 5 rows. And that's what makes it line up like that. And you'll notice since I held the yarn out the way, the puff became lined up on the side as well. So you have this fun format. And this yarn is so incredibly soft, it ain't funny. Now, I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to do it this way. So that way when you see it, it is actually a knit stitch. So that way you get to see what you're working with. But I'm actually going to be purling, because I got the work facing away from me. So, you're still going to hold that stitch out your way so it doesn't get in the work. You're going to come over here, you're going to hold the yarn where you're only attaching the cord, not the puff. And you continue on that way, just the cord, hold the puff. In fact, I hold the puff as I'm knitting it, so that way it doesn't accidentally get involved in the work. Hold it out the way, so you're only knitting the cord, and the puff lines up nice and neat along the back of the work. And that's how easy this is to work with. Oh, the only other problem is when you unravel the yarn, you want to unwind quite a bit. Okay, each stitch is an inch. This is a 9-inch scarf because I'm only using 10 stitches. Yep, that's all. 10 stitches and it's this big. But you want to have enough to work with. You can't do your standard like this where your fingers, feed the yarn to you because the big old puff is in the way. That one tried to get into my knit stitch. Come on, let me fix that. So, in, hold the puff out your way, only work the cord rather. Some people might call that a braid, but it's a braided cord in between all the puffs. You're going to hold it out your way while you're working. There we go. Man, it's hard to knit slow to show somebody something. Anyway, now I'm going to do this in real time so you can see. Let me unravel myself enough yarn to work with. Hold on. And every now and then it will catch itself, so just have patience, pull it slowly. Also, if you need to unravel a stitch, since you're only knitting these corded stitches, it literally unravels like that. These just fall away and then poof, 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 poof. Anyway, here we go again. Show you what I'm doing here. I usually put my finger right there to hold that puff out the way. And then I make my first stitch. Then holding the puff out the way. Next stitch, puff out the way. As it tries to join in, we grab a hold of it. And that's how you work with the Bernat Puff Ball Pink. I am assuming that the pom-pom yarns they have out now work in the same fashion. You're only working the corded area, not the puff area. And I did try a continental cast on, and I did try knitting, standard way, and found myself unraveling a mess. So this is the method I came up with to work with the yarn. And look, there is a knit stitch right there. If you get a miss stitch, which with this yarn, obviously, what you're going to do, don't take all the stitches off the needle and then try to fix that. Fix it on your way back. So Here I am going back across, only working my cords, holding my puffs out my way. And when I get to that little oopsie,